All right. What's up, Cole, man? It's been 2 weeks, man. Nice little hiatus, but we're back. You know how we like to start it off with, you got any highs and lows for me?
Shoot. Well, I have to say the high of the week is, I'm working like every day and we're crushing lots of content. And I'm about to make you some sweet shorts. So that's going.
All
The
right.
low is definitely going to have to be, I pushed myself a little too hard at the gym. So I actually just got back to my first day this morning. But I had to take about 5 days off. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old.
I forgot that you had hurt yourself. I forgot to ask you about that. Well, my 2 weeks away, my high was obviously we launched officially on most of the platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Simplecast. So that's definitely been the high, getting the feedback for some people. And then my low was I was supposed to do something in my English class and I turned it in late. So that was kind of disappointing in school. I turned it in late. So let's see if I can bribe my teacher and see if she'll give me credit for it being on time. We're going to have a good episode today. Got a lot of stuff I've been thinking about over the past couple of weeks. So let's get this started, Cole. Yeah, it's Terry Lamar. We back. Never about the cake. You know how we do. You know the vibes.
Girl, I get tired of sleeping alone in my bed. I really need you.
We've been gone for 2 weeks, but we back.
I've been trying.
Little white soul for you guys. Told you I'm different. Got a good show lined up for you today. I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of things I've been thinking about. Promise you, you're going to like the show today. Uh-oh, we going back to the 80s. Got to bring the music in. It's never about the cake. We on all the platforms. Come on, check us out. Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, Google, YouTube, Sunset 17 Studios. We here.
How do rumors get started? Started by the jealous people, and they
Classic song.
Something they had and somebody else is holding. They tell me that temptation is very hard to resist. But these wicked women, ooh, they just
Yeah, I'm an 80s baby.
Maybe you think it's cute, but girl, I'm not impressed. I tell you one time only with my business, please don't mess. When you look at all these rumors surrounding me every day, I just need some time to get away from all these rumors. I can't take it no more. My best friend said there's one I never meet, a girl next door. Did you hear that one about Tina? Some say she's much too loose.
We're getting ready. Good show playing, you guys. Yes, sir. It's your host, Terry Lamar. Once again, it's never about the cake. I'm not even going to say the episode number anymore because I'll be forgetting and telling you guys the wrong thing. So just the newest episode. That's why I leave you guys with. You can figure it out when you go on there and click on it. So I was thinking a lot over the last 2 weeks off. And I seen something that somebody put, here I'm using my phone as my notes. I seen the quote that said, "The person who loves you will protect your mental health and not be the reason for its decline." Now, you know, social media is a great thing, but sometimes people be on here acting like they professionals and they say things, and because a few people agree with it, you know, they think it's law. But sometimes things people say don't make any sense, because you can do everything you want for a person, and that doesn't necessarily mean that their mental health will go up or down. So I can love you all I want to, but that doesn't mean that that's going to change how you're feeling. But that's not really the topic I wanted to cover today. I wanted to talk about choices that we make. And what follows the choices is accountability. And it seems like everything these days is made to avoid accountability. The things that we do, we want to blame somebody else. Well, I did this because my parents treated me like this. Or I busted out her window because she was cheating. Or I slashed his tires because he was cheating. You know, nobody wants to take accountability for anything. I wrote a few things down. Said a lot of times we as individuals put the choices we make on another person, right? So think about it. What are some of the biggest choices that we make in our lifetime? Now, I didn't tell him that I was going to ask him this, but I'm going to go to my man Cole, as I'd like to do, and ask him, what do you think are some of the biggest choices that we have to make in our lifetime, Cole?
I think one of the biggest choices is on who we marry.
Who we marry. That's absolutely one of the most important. I had picking the partner, deciding who to have kids with, what even our faith might be, and even choosing a career. Now, see, those are all things we have control of. The only thing that we can't control is who our parents are, because we have no control over that. So why do many times when we make a bad choice, we then hold other people responsible for our choices? So that's the question that we're going to focus on right now. Why do when we make a bad choice? I'll give this personal experience. Of course, you know, I've told most of you guys that, you know, I went to prison. But there was things that I did leading up to me going to the prison. And I could say justifiably so how I felt about maybe how I was raised a certain way that I didn't agree with. But it wasn't my parents' fault, because they tried to raise me a certain way that made me go break the law. It was actually my fault. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that until it was too later on in life. Now, what's the results of that? Well, now in my late 40s, there are certain things that I can't do, certain careers or avenues I can't pursue because of the choices I made back 20 years ago and even 15 years ago. You know, you go to prison, you get a felony. Well, certain felonies, you know, you can't sell insurance in the state of California. You know, you got to get certain background checks. So those are my choices. Now, who do I have to blame for it? Do I have to blame my folks, or do I blame myself? As I mentioned before, I even was mad at some of my friends during my prison thing. Well, you know, you guys should have told me not to do certain things. You guys should have been better friends. But it wasn't them that made the choice to go break the law. It was me. A lot of things we see a lot of times online about these relationships, right? There's this hot topic of relationships. And usually we all make the decision, like Cole said earlier, about who we choose to be with, whether we choose to marry a person or whether we choose to enter into a relationship with a person, and whether we choose to have kids with a person. Now, look, I'm going to say a few things that people are going to probably throw their arms up and say, no, that's not true. You're being, for example, I'm 48 now. So I believe I had my first child when I was, my oldest is 26. So I had my first child at the age of 21. I think I might have had 3 kids by 3 different women before the age of 30. Now, let's be honest. If a man approaches you that has 3 different kids by 3 different women, obviously he has bad penal management, let's say that. He doesn't really know how to control, you know, where he's going. So now, as a woman, if I approach you and I have 3 kids by 3 different women, and you make the choice to date me, something is wrong with you. I'm just going to tell you that's the truth right now. Something is wrong with you. Because what about that says that I have issues? Now, people are like, oh, I thought you said in the last episode, don't freeze people in time. Let me tell you the difference. When you're going to observe something, right? When you're going to make a decision on something, You have to weigh the options, right? Before you take a job, you want to find out how much the job is going to pay. Okay, I agree to this job. It's going to give me a certain amount of sick days. It comes with benefits. It's going to pay this much. If the job doesn't do something that you're going to like, then you shouldn't take it. But after you accept the job and you find out what it pays, you shouldn't go to the job and complain because you had the choice to take or not take the job. It's the same thing. Once you choose to be in a relationship with the person, you made the choice. Now, don't bash the person because of all the stuff they had. You shouldn't have made that decision in the beginning. Now, I'll give you another example. People will say, some men, because they have egos, they'll tell a woman, nobody will ever want you because you have kids. Well, that's clearly not true. It's men out here that love kids. It's men out here that have no issue with a woman having kids. But I would say this. If a man is dating a woman, if my son decides he wants to date a woman, and the woman has 2 children already, she has 2 younger kids already, and she has another kid coming, and he's contemplating dating her, I would tell him he's a fool. Now, why? Because clearly she has some issues that are not yet resolved. So that's a decision that you should make before you enter and to think about taking on what comes with that responsibility. That doesn't mean a woman that has kids is damaged. Doesn't mean that at all. Now, if you decide to see that woman, then you have to take on the responsibility that comes with it. But sometimes we never want to hold anybody accountable for the choices that we make. That's why I told somebody to date me, you was crazy to date me, because all the red signs was there. A lot of us ignore, not the red signs, red flags. Look, people will tell you who they are if you just listen or you see stuff. But a lot of us think, we could change that person. I could change him. He'll be different with me. Look, the man's 40 years old. He ain't never held down the job for more than a year. What makes you think he's going to get with you and all of a sudden decide to become responsible? Usually that doesn't happen. That's why there's background checks. That's why people want to know the history. When you apply for a job, when you apply for an apartment, do you have an eviction? If your previous credit, because usually that's a good indicator on what's going to happen moving forward. So why, when we make these big decisions, do we not take the time to see, like, wait a second, there's nothing wrong with a man or woman telling the person, hey, you know what? You might be a good person, but you're not the person for me. Because all the other stuff that you got going on, you got 3 kids by 3 different women. What in the heck? You got issues, man. So you might be nice, but I don't want to find out. I'm gonna pass. What they do on Tinder, swipe left or right or whatever, when they don't want to. We're not a match, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue comes from when you accept a person, and then after you've accepted them for what they are, now you want to keep bringing it up and throwing it in their face. And so, another thing. Well, let's get on the why do many times we make the bad choice, we then hold other people responsible for our choice. So, in the realm of faith, right? There's faith. So for people that have a belief, there's a pecking order. And if that pecking order doesn't get followed, there's a chain reaction. For instance, now this is the big topic, right? Who comes first as a husband? Your wife, your parents, or your kid? Right? Between the husband and the wife, who's supposed to come first? Well, if you know the pecking order, the husband and the wife have the closest relationship. Then it would be the children. Then it would be the parent. And this is controversial in some households, but a lot of people don't agree with that. Oh, I never put a man before my kids. Oh, I never put a woman before my kids. But, in the situation of faith, it doesn't go like that. So now when you're trying to make a decision about seeing somebody and their faith different from yours, that might be something that you might want to think about. Their belief might not align with yours. If their belief doesn't align with yours, there's always going to be some type of issue. But here's the thing that's one of the biggest issues, again, that has to do with the choices. It's, again, accountability. There's no accountability anywhere these days. Everybody is blaming somebody for why they've done something. Everywhere. People are running into stores stealing stuff. They're blaming the government or whoever, that they can't get enough money to do it, not taking responsibility. Couples are cheating on each other. They'll blame everybody. Well, my husband's not paying me no attention. My wife, she's not putting out enough. Well, have you guys told each other that? Well, no, it's just nobody wants to take accountability. There's no accountability in the world. Those is one of the biggest issues. And I speak from personal experience because I was a person before that never took accountability, like I said in the beginning. I don't know if I didn't know how, or if I didn't want to, or if it was just easier for me to blame other people for the things the decisions I made or the choices I made. And why it's so important to take the accountability is because that's the only way you really can get yourself back, on the right track. I think I mentioned the story about my mom when I told her that when I was in prison, like, she didn't understand what I was going through. And she gave me a little chuckle, and then she proceeded to read me the riot act. Like, boy, what do you mean I don't understand what you're going through? I'm doing the time with you. But I told you that this situation is going to happen. I told you would find out who your friends really were when you went through the situation. And at the end of the day, I had to tell myself, man, I got to be accountable, for the things I decide. Same issue we talked about with my daughter. I had to be accountable for reacting a certain way, for not, at times, being responsible for what I was supposed to do. And even with those choices, I see a lot of men, and it seems like they will allow what's going on with the woman, the woman that they laid up and had the kid with, they'll make a choice to not be responsible or hold accountability to their child, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whether it's being there because of the woman. And again, that's not right. You make a choice to lay up with somebody, get the person pregnant, you need to be accountable to take care of that child. Child didn't ask to come in the world. Child didn't ask to be in between the drama between the mother and the father, or whatever it is. And again, I thought about this because, I scrolled through TikTok, I scrolled through Instagram, and it seems like so many people are just miserable. It's all type of quotes and different things about, you can't treat me like this and you can't do that and such do that. I even told somebody the other day, it's like she found her husband cheating, and then she's mad at the girl who cheated. I'm like, well, you should be more mad at your husband. He's supposed to be accountable to you. You guys are the ones that took the vows. But ultimately, in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, business relationship, work relationship, it takes two people, to deal with the situation. But it's always easy for one person to just remove themselves from the situation, or one person to do things the right way. And so again, I thought so long about it because, again, from being the person that didn't take accountability for a lot of things that I've done, and I'm pretty sure my life would have went smoother if I would have been responsible. So now you're like, okay, you say all this, but what does it mean? What do you do? How do you take accountability for the things that you have done? Well, sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror and admit who you are, right? If you ever went to like an AA meeting, I don't do any drugs or alcohol, but I've heard, or even if you go to, therapy, you have to admit that you have certain problems, right? That's the first step of taking the accountability, admitting, okay, I'm lacking in this area. I've always been told that I don't communicate well. I used to get so offended, man, I don't communicate well, or you're a secret. I say I'm not secret, I just like to keep things private. But then I started going back, reflecting these last few months, and I'm like, man, yeah, it's been a big issue. A lot of my issues came with not communicating. Well, I can't do this. Instead of me telling the person I can't do this, I ignored them. And then from that, all type of other stuff happened, and I was like, why is everybody tripping? And I blame everybody else instead of being accountable for myself for doing it. So you really have to admit to yourself that, look, this is not my strong point. This is not a strong suit. I recognize the things I need to do better, and then you should just do them better. Now, again, we can't ever control how other people are going to respond to us, right? We can't control what our parents do. We can't control what our mate does, but we can control what we do. You know, you say something wrong, you apologize. You do the wrong thing, you know, you try to make up for it. You know, we seen the episode, you know, with my daughter. It's a work in process. It's a work in progress. Just because I came here and made a podcast and apologized, it doesn't mean it takes away from all the other things she was feeling, and it doesn't mean that they go away. And the thing about accountability has to be ongoing. You can't just say, "Oh, I said I was sorry for that. I said I did it, and that's it." You still have to do the work towards, you know, trying to fix it, trying to make things better. And you know, sometimes it's not easy to do. Sometimes it's the easy thing to do is just, you know, to leave it alone. And I wasn't even going to share this story, you know, but it's important for me to always be transparent and truthful. And the thing about the choices that you make, sometimes they affect the other people for longer than they affect you. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, I'm not in prison no more, right? I've been out for several years now. But my children suffered when I was in prison. And some of them are still suffering right now because there were the times I was in prison, they went through some things that I wasn't there for. So it affected them. Now, they still are adults. They still made choices. They still have to be accountable for certain things. But I also have to realize that some of the things that happened to them was a result of what I did. And so me and my son, he's been mad at me. I think, you know, we had a little disagreement, right? And I sent him some money. He had been hitting me up for some money here and there. He plays a sports book like I do. He gambles. Apple never falls too far from the tree, by the way. And I had sent him some money just a couple of years ago. And he didn't put the picks in. So I was telling him, he had been, you know, kids, you hit your parents up. Dad, let me get $20 here. Dad, let me get $40 here. Okay, I'm going to pay you back. He never paid me back. I wasn't tripping. I did that to my dad all the time. Probably still owe my dad money. I ain't paid him back. But there was a particular time that I needed the money back. You know, if you can't do it, I need the money back. So I need to do something else. And then, you know, he got mad. And we've, you know, just the communication. And so I decided to reach out to him. And he was upset. And he was like, you know, you went to jail. You wasn't there for me when the first time I had sex. Which in my mind, I'm like, bro, what was I gonna do? Sit in the room? You know, he said a few things. And so, you know, I was like, well, you know, I'm sorry you feel that way. And that's a part of taking accountability. Sometimes you have to apologize to people. Sometimes you got to apologize, you know, multiple times. But he doesn't want to fix things. And that could be very, very difficult. And you might run across people who will never forgive you even when you take accountability. Remember, taking accountability doesn't mean people have to forgive you. People have a right to still want to be upset. It doesn't mean it's going to make things magically better. And sometimes you have to own that, as much as it may bother you, as much as it may hurt you. And like I've told you guys before, it's painful, but I did it. I can't blame anybody else, you know, but myself. And it's sad because if you know who you are and you know the type of person you are, but you know some of the choices that you've made at a time you were a different person, it can be difficult when you're not that. It could be difficult when you're not that person anymore to come to terms with the fact that some people only see you as this person because of the things they went through. And so I share that, you know, because like I said, I always want to be transparent and let other people know that it's some of us that's our choices have ruined people, right? Person makes a choice to go drink and drive and runs into a family and takes a life. That's forever changed somebody else's life. A person makes a decision to go be unfaithful on his wife and goes and deals with somebody else. That forever changes the feelings of the wife. You get what I'm saying? So even though you can be accountable for it, your choices that you make really can really affect not only you long term, but another person long term. And so there's nothing wrong with, again, apologizing. But what we all need to do is really start taking, accountability, for the things we do. Now, the truth of the matter is it going to change everything in the world? Probably not, because it's only a certain amount of people that'll really listen to this and really take it in. The Bible tells us about a road. There's two roads. There's a broad one. There's a narrow one. There's a lot of people that's on this main road. There's few people on this road. They don't go to the same destination, unfortunately. That's a whole nother topic. But that's the point is not everybody's going to understand where you're coming from. But for the people who have made choices and they haven't worked out, just look at yourself and say, yeah, I made a bad choice. Just look at this. Don't blame anybody else. And speaking about one thing I want to say real quick, it was another episode that I said I would never talk biblical on here. And I really meant to say I would never get into politics, because politics, there's no really right and wrong answer. It's like, who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan? It's just the only facts is that Jordan has more rings. Who's better is whoever you like. Same thing with politics. Whoever you like is whoever you like. But faith is important to me. It's important to a lot of people, because that's really the only thing you can rely on when times get tough. When I was in prison, those nights where I couldn't get on the phone, it was my prayers that helped me get through it. When I see people on TikTok and everywhere going through struggles and addictions and substance abuse, it's scriptures that they post to help them get through it. So I will always talk about my faith or talk about certain things that have helped me try to stay on the course. Because like I mentioned on the pod with Good, I still have my own personal battles and demons that I'm fighting. They don't go anywhere. Just because you get older, there's still, sometimes, I still got an itch that can't be scratched. And I have to recognize that I'm answering to a higher power so I can try to do things the right way. Now, if that ain't for you, it ain't for you. But if it is, you know what I'm saying. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, because for some people, their faith is important. It's helped them get through deaths, through multiple cancer battles, through watching their parents die. And so for all, they've made that choice. They've made the choice that they're going to believe in something, and they've held themselves accountable to that belief. And it's important that people do that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So yeah, I've been off, a couple weeks. You get a lot of time to reflect on different things and, see, things that's going on. As I said before, I don't really like to get into the hot topic stuff. I'm not a guy that's really concerned with, women and their sexual partners, or, a lot of the drama. I'm working on what I want to focus on coming up is good relationships, healthy relationships, making relationships great again, focusing stuff that's positive. It's people that's been out that are married 30 plus years, 20 plus years. It's people that are helping each other out. In my podcast, I want to bring light to that, the good that people are doing, because that feeling people need to see, the love, where it comes from, the faith, the people that no matter what, they're going to put this first. And so that's what I've been working on. So coming up, I'll have some more couples, people that are recently married. I have some people coming up. They're going to talk about that. And people that really have tried to come and change their life around. People that sometimes they've made bad choices and it didn't always work, but they recognized it and made some changes. And so that's where I'm going to go with it. Again, I'm on all the platforms now, Apple, Spotify, Simplecast. Follow me on on YouTube, and I'm just trying to work, getting better. Remember those episodes that come out, I was just started. I'm still starting. I'm not even 10 episodes in, so it's me and Cole are working out the kinks. One day we'll come in here and it'll just go perfect, and then the next day we might come in. Next week I might come in and mess up. But hey, I love feedback. You got any questions? You got any stories? You got something that's that you think is worth hearing? drop me a line. You can follow me on YouTube. It's Never About the Cake. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Follow Cole on Instagram and TikTok. Sunset17. Follow us. But one thing you don't want to do is follow us home. We out of here.
Let's sit down and talk, cause I'm on my way. Let's all dress all that shit that we had to say. Got me caught in my feelings, I'm not okay. You say fuck off, you hate me, I'm feeling away. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't shit, well you ain't either. Pack your bags, fuck outta here, you been evicted, get outta here. You press my buttons now, I'm talking shit. I'll shut my phone off and hit the club with my friends. Get out my face talking all that shit. I swear I'm done, had enough of it. You talking, keep walking ahead. Walk out the door and you know that that's it. I say what I say, but you know I don't mean it. And you say some things that I know you don't mean. I say what I say, but you know I don't mean it. And you say some things that I know you don't mean. You're down on your knees begging, begging me please now. I'm doing me now. I'm doing me now. You're cutting me deep, starting to bleed now. I'm feeling weak now. We argue for weeks now, and I just had a long ass day, so please get the fuck on my face. Not trying to go back and forth with you, please take the door with you. I'm trying to get in my pace. Well, hold up, wait a minute, I ain't shit, well you ain't either. Pack your bags, fuck outta here, you been evicted, get outta here. You press my buttons now, I'm talking shit. I'll shut my phone off and hit the club with my friends. I say what I say, but you know I don't mean it. And you say some things that I know you don't mean. I say what I say, but you know I don't mean it. And you say some things that I know you don't mean.